Hey, welcome to a brand new edition of Local Focus. It is my favorite time of the year, basketball season, just around the corner. And man, I can't wait. I mean, you know, we're not, I don't know if we're supposed to have favorites during the season, but I think you can tell that ProView Networks gets really up for basketball coverage, and that starts soon. And my first basketball guest of the season is Cibola's fantastic young guard, Elijah Martinez. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Are you ready? I mean, I know basketball season never ends for you guys. There is no off season, but are you ready?
Of course I'm ready. Basketball season it's a fun time. You wait the whole off season, you get ready. That's what everyone strives for. That's what everyone does it for. High school basketball.
But there really is there is no such thing as an off season for you guys anymore. It's unreal. I mean, the state tournament ends, and I can remember talking to Kenyon and some of those guys. He's like, well, I'm going to take 4 days off, and then I'm hitting the road.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, so there's no off season. Just talk about that,
so
the grind that goes in immediately after the conclusion of last year.
Yeah, so right after the state tournament, I mean, we didn't make it in, but right after that, you get right into AAU basketball. I'm with ABC. Shout out to Brandon Mason. He gives me the opportunity to go and play with those guys, and you don't really get a break. It's more just getting ready to be able to go travel and try to get your name out there. Because with high school basketball, that's the main goal, is try to get to the next level. So whenever we're out there, it's a great experience for me.
But also, it's got to be a little okay, you guys did have the break, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have the tournament, okay, but you're going to turn that around this year. So, right?
Yes, sir, of course.
So, but talk about just the grind of the body, too, though. I mean, the season ends, and next thing you know, you're on an airplane going with ABC to play Vegas, Phoenix, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you guys are going. There is no break physically. What is it like physically?
I mean, it's something you just have to deal with. It's something that you mentally prepare for. You have to take care of your body, eat right, make sure you're always on top of it. It's something that you have to mentally always prepare for.
And then there's the other part of it is, like, I'm sure that I think this is the part that really doesn't get talked about a lot, but like, you're a young man, so probably you got friends after the school year's over that's like, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go to the lake, right? And you're like, no, I'm in grind mode, right? So there's a lot of that too, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you always try to make time to go do things. I mean, it's always good to give yourself a little break, but you're on a grind most of the year. It's trying to be the best version of yourself, trying to always get better no matter what you're doing.
And then even during the year, that's something that, I mean, I think that's something athletes face a lot, right? Like you got friends, you got people they're like, they just want to go hang out, right? Like, it's Friday night, let's go hang out and do stupid stuff, right? I went to high school, I did a lot of dumb shit, right? Like, I know, but the athlete's life, right, is about sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah.
When other guys are doing this, you're in the gym. When your friends are doing this, you're at ABC getting shots up. When your friends are doing this, you're watching game film, right? Talk about the sacrifices that you guys make too.
I mean, all athletes make them. Even most of my friends are athletes, and they're good kids. They always want. Most of them actually want to go play basketball instead of go do whatever other kids do.
Right.
But it's a great thing to always have a good friend group, though, because sometimes when you don't always want you want to have people who are like-minded, who always want to do the same things as you and want to get better. And so it's the sacrifices you have to make.
You're just used to it.
It's something we have to do, but it's a great time.
And then I'm sure what helps you as well is your dad did that at a very high level, right?
Yeah.
High school and college, so he kind of knows the grind too, right? So how much can you draw from him as far as that stuff?
Well, I've grown up around him, around basketball. Ever since I was born was basketball with him. So ever seeing him in college and being able to see what he did and what made him successful, it's something I try to copy in a sense. Just he works really hard on everything he does. It doesn't matter what it is. And for him and me, it's just a great thing. I mean, just being able to try to do what he does and work the way he does, it's great. It's easy to do it after him. After you see what he does, you're like, man, I could do that too. If my dad could do it.
And for you, basketball is your only sport, right?
Not at the moment,
Well,
no.
golf. You golf,
Yes,
right?
I golf.
Okay.
But basketball
Well,
is the main.
and I want to get to golf too, but so there's 365 days in a year. How many of those days do you think you have a basketball in your hand?
325, 330.
Okay. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
I rarely get some days off.
Right. And you talked about Brandon and ABC. I mean, sometimes those guys get a bad rap over there, which I don't understand. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. Right. Talk about that really complements you as well, right? Like it complements your game because, yeah, you're a high school basketball player, but that gym's always open. Coach Hill, Coach Mason, those guys, they're not going to be like, oh, you play for your high school, get out. They don't turn anybody away either, right?
No.
So talk about a huge resource that is for you.
ABC is a great resource. Jay Hill, Coach Mason, they invite me in with open arms. It's a great thing just to be able to have them there. If you ever want to get a workout in, they'll be there for you. If you ever want to do something with them, they'll be there for you. If you want to ask them for something, ask them for advice, they will always be there for you.
And I think, I know people probably watching think like, what's the big deal? But being able to get into a gym to shoot every night, that is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't always find an open gym. So to know that place is there, to know that there's going to be some hoopers there, that's a big resource, right?
Yeah, of course it is. You get the best talent in the state. You get some guys come in from out of town that you never met before that you get to play against. It's always cool to meet some of the new guys that come into ABC.
All right, we talked about golf, and I know that is one of the many things we don't know about you. So before we go to break, I want to get to the top 5 list. You've seen the program, right?
Yep.
Top 5 things we don't know about Elijah Martinez. Number 5.
Number 5, I'm going to start off with I'm an only child.
Okay.
A lot of people always ask me, do you have a brother or sister? I'm like, no, I'm just the only one in my family.
Okay, only child. Number 4.
Number 4, I love to binge watch shows.
Oh, okay.
I will binge watch a show. Whenever I'm not doing basketball, I will be at home watching my show.
All right, so if you had to give some recommendation or two on some shows to binge watch, what would you?
If you are a sports fan, you got to go watch Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
If that's probably one of my favorite shows ever.
All right.
That show is really good. I really like that
and
show.
what else?
You put me on the spot here.
I am currently binge watching a show too, so I'll give you mine in a minute.
What show? There's a lot of shows.
Are you all sports guy, or do you do others?
Oh no, I watch other things. Just kind of variety.
I'm binging the golf one right now. What is the Netflix one that followed the guys around last year? Right before.
I can't remember what it's called, but
that's the one I'm binging right now, and it's good.
Oh yeah, it's good. I love watching like Bryson DeChambeau and him, like his behind the scenes stuff. He's a really good athlete. And
do you ever binge Local Focus with Sebastian Noel?
Oh yeah, I watch it all the time.
All right, good answer. We'll be right back.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
We're back with Cibola Cougar Elijah Martinez. We were in the middle of our top 5 list. We got the only child out of the way. We got the binge watching out of the way. By the way, do you act like an only child?
I would say so. I mean, yeah.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, it depends on who I ask for sure. But
okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, things we don't know about you.
Well, one of the things people don't know about me is I'm actually homeschooled. Okay. I go to school at home. I'm able to have my own kind of schedule. I get to go to 7th period still with the guys, but I am homeschooled at the moment.
Okay. Number 2.
We already talked about it a little bit, but my golf. I love golf.
Yeah, you were saying that you hit the links, and you're on the golf team.
I am. Varsity golf.
There you go.
Shout out to my golf team, but yeah.
Oh, if I would have known that, we would have made the whole show about golf, right? So, how long have you been doing that?
I think it's the year 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started a little late, but never too late to start golf.
I'm very ignorant when it comes to high school golf, but do they have is it like college where top 5 scores count, or how does that?
So it's top 4. So
Okay.
top 4 from your team, you kind of get.
And you're in that top 4?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was number 2 last year.
There you go. I mean, we have had a golf guest, by the way, and it was a Cougar. It was Aiden Kraft. So, where do you guys play?
All over the city, every city course you could think of, we usually have a tournament.
But does Cibola have like a quote unquote home course where
yeah,
they
our
practice?
home course is Paradise
Okay.
Hills, since it's right by our school.
All right. That's not a bad spot, right?
No, Paradise Hills is a beautiful course.
I mean, I've never actually made it out onto the course. I'm at the other place that's
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So, all right, then the number 1 thing that we don't know about you.
I mean, you may know this about me, but it's my faith.
Okay.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, my savior. And I want everyone to know that about me. That's probably the most important thing to me.
And that's something that's, I know that's pretty important to your dad, too, from some conversations I've had with him, right? So is that just, you come from a very spiritual family?
Yep, and we've grown up like that. My grandpa has always been very religious and always taught me the right way to live and good morals and ethics you can have. So that's one of the main things for me, just having a great belief.
How does that keep you grounded, and how does that keep you level as an athlete?
That it gets you through the hard times. The times every athlete goes through those hard times where you need to get out of your head, and that's just the number 1 thing I try to go to. I try to get in the Word and give myself a chance to get away from basketball and get my head right.
Can you think of what you said helped you out during low times? So can you think of an example of that, of a low time last season where you really turned towards your spirituality to kind of help you?
I would just say towards like the middle of the year, just like whenever you lose a couple games, you're thinking, what did I do wrong, and what can I do better as a person? And all the time, you can't rely on yourself to give you that answer. You can't always just think on yourself. So I think it's very important to get into the Word for me and see the answers from there. Let Him give me the answers.
And I mean, it's got to help you as a young person. I mean, if our audience doesn't know, how old are you now?
16.
Right? I mean, so you're varsity from a very young age, so you don't have the seasoning of a veteran, right? So as a young person, how important is it for young people to be able to turn to their faith?
It's the most important thing, man. In my opinion, it's the most important thing you can have over basketball, over golf, as we were talking about. It's because if it all went away, what do you have to have something there that's stable at all times.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about last year. I mean, there you are in the fire, playing varsity at such a young age. What were some of the low points? What were some of the difficulties of that, being thrust into that fire so early?
I mean, ever since I started as an 8th grader, as you know, it's an adjustment period. The game's a lot different whenever you're playing older guys. You're not used to playing guys who are 4 or 5 years older than you, and it's something you have to learn how to adjust to. The speed of the game's different, the physicality of the game's different, and just being able to rely on what you've done your whole life doesn't really work when you're coming in and you're not as athletic as someone else or fast as someone else. So you really have to learn the ins and outs of the game more than you're just playing your own age group.
But I think the other piece that you probably have to deal with is a pretty large chip on your shoulder. And I know it sucks, but I know you hear it, is, oh, coach's kid. Coaches plays for his dad, right? That happens in every sport, basketball, baseball, football. When the coach's kid is on the court or on the field, they have to be that much better just because that noise is always there, right? Do you hear it?
You hear it, but it's something you have to learn how to drown out.
Right.
It's something that every coach's kid, I don't care who it is, you went through it. Coach Brown's son, Huddy, I'm guessing he's went through it, even though they're lost 2 games in the last 3 years.
Right.
But it's something you have to learn how to cope with, and something like my faith having to get into that. I always have my family there. My dad helps me a lot through that, my mom. And it's just something to learn how to deal with. It's a great learning experience for me.
And I mean, I'm sure at times it can be difficult for you as well, right? Because like when I'm sure there's a blurred line sometimes between when coach is coach and when dad is dad, right? So like I'm sure sometimes I'm sure all you guys talk about is basketball at times, right? During the season?
Yeah, I mean, my dad does a really good job on separating it. Like when we're in a basketball gym, he's coach. He's always going to be my dad, but he does a good job at separating the two. Like he's really talented in that sense. Like,
right.
Doing that.
So, but dealing with that at a young age, I did want to kind of ask you about it because I know one thing you learned doing the job that I do is you hear some really ridiculous stuff coming out the bleachers. And I'm not trying to get on a high horse here, but like some of the stuff we hear in the bleachers, it's really makes you wonder why adults say some of those things, right? So I did want to get your perspective on that. And I think you've always handled it incredibly well. So you talked about missing out on the playoffs last year. What does this team have to do this year to kind of turn the page, right? It's a whole new season. There's been a whole off season of work for not only you, but your guys. What do you guys have to do to turn the page?
Coming into this season, we were young last year. We have a lot of young guys. Even if they are older in their class, they're just the experience on the court was we're trying to get there. But coming into this year, we have some guys who have the experience, have the talent level. We've been working really hard. All my teammates have worked really hard this off season, getting ready for this season, and we're just excited to get out there and show people what we're made of and how we can change it this year, change the culture at Cibola.
And your JV team looked pretty good, and you did have some young pieces there. Should we expect? What should we expect as far as style of play? Well, I mean, you guys have some athletic dudes on that team.
Yeah, we do. I'm not gonna say too much.
Oh,
But,
you don't want to go scouting report early,
but,
right?
We're looking good this year. It's gonna be an exciting year. People need to come out and watch our games.
So I think what you're saying is you guys want to catch some teams by surprise early in the season.
That would be nice. That would definitely be good to come out and have a strong start to our season.
Obviously, that district, things have changed, right, as far as districts and stuff. But we kind of know who everyone's chasing, right? I think it's fair to say.
Yep. Volcano, 3-time state champs in the last 3 years.
Right. So what do you have to do to get better every day? I mean, obviously no one starts the season with we're going to beat those guys. But I think you have to build to at least being in the position to play them, right?
Yeah.
So what does that look like right now with your coach?
I think that's all belief. You have to believe. You have to put in the work to then believe that you can do it. I think for Volcano, you have to be able to go into that game like we could beat these guys. Like it's not something you can't go in and be super nervous about it. You can't go in and doubt yourself. It's not something you can doubt yourself about.
Are we doing a break here, or are we almost out of time? All right, we're going to do a break. We'll have a little bit of time left with Elijah when we come back.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
High school sports are back. You can watch every ProView Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now. Just go to ProViewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best.
Back with Elijah Martinez, we're previewing the basketball season a little bit. A couple of things I want to talk about. I mean, you being such a young guy, but being in varsity for a couple of years already, what's changed? What are we going to see this year? What do you think you've been working on, and what part of your game do you think we will notice a difference in?
I mean, just the speed of the game for me. It's slowing down. Even though I'm just a sophomore, this is my third year of varsity basketball, so I have a little more experience than most sophomores do. Lucky to have that. But, I mean, just trying to get more athletic, trying to get my body in the right place to where I feel like I'm able to do anything I want on the court, able just to be myself.
Right, and so do you at the end of each year, do you kind of do a self-assessment of your game and say, hey, I need to improve this, I need to improve that? How does that work?
I mean, you're always doing that. No matter if it's the middle of the season, beginning of the season, end of the season, you always want to get better. You always want to say, what can I get better at to be the best version of myself? And
I mean, what has that been? I know you're kind of saying everything,
yeah,
right?
I mean,
but I know you guys work on some pretty small details too, right?
Yeah, it's all about the small details.
So
in
what has that
basketball.
been lately?
Just for me, I've always been able to shoot pretty well, I would say. I mean, I'm a pretty good shooter.
Yeah, you're being
but,
modest. Yeah,
I mean,
shoot it.
getting to be able to score at all different levels for me. Like my 8th grade year, I was just a shooter in the sense of I could shoot really well, get to the basket sometimes, but I think that's where I want to kind of get better at, being able to do all 5 levels of scoring, as people call it now.
No, I mean, I think, and you know, talking about your game a little bit, granted, I did not do a lot of Cibola games last year, you know.
That will change this year.
I like that mindset. But the few that I did kind of watch, you know, I think you guys seem to be at your best. You really have some vision on the court. Where did that come from? I mean, I noticed the way you facilitate. You see things not everyone sees, right? Where did that come from?
That's just come from a lot of experience of playing basketball ever since I was 2-3 years old, watching my dad play basketball, watching other people I look up to play basketball. It's just being able to know the game and being able to play the game so long that you see things a little differently. It's just something I've kind of grown up with, and seeing other people have it, just trying to copy them. You
talked about your dad. Now, can you abuse him on the court still? Like, because he's pretty young. So, like, do you abuse him on the court? Do you take him to the rack, or does he still beat you?
He's still good at his old age. He gives me a hard time whenever we play. We try playing every once in a while, but it's always
He's kind
of
got the length on you a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Does he try to use
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But
does he try to use that to his advantage?
Yeah. Tries to use his grown man strength, as he calls it. But,
right.
Yeah.
What about now on the golf course? Because he golfs too.
Yes, he does.
Who's better on the golf course?
I would say I am. He might disagree with that,
okay.
But we have some fun battles on the golf course. We are always on the golf course together.
Okay. What? Obviously, a successful point guard has to bring his team along, right? So, kind of give me an outlook on the rest of the team too. Like, what have you done to kind of get ready with the guys, right? Whether, you know, you mentioned that you're homeschooled, so that's got to be a little tough too, right? So, not seeing the guys in the halls, not seeing the guys in class. How do you go out of your way to make sure that bonding is still taking place?
Whenever I do see them, I try to just try to get to know them as best as I can, because I'm not there all day. Like, it's different. I'm not always at the school. So, like, we try to do things together. We try to go to games, football games. We try to hang out outside of the school, because I'm not there at the school. So, I mean, we have a good bond with the team right now. It's gonna go. We have a lot better bond than people may think, because I'm not at home. I'm at home school, but it's great to be around a group of guys who are like-minded, in the sense of we want to show people wrong.
Season's around the corner. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Volcano. We touched on that. Who are some of the other teams that you personally look forward to playing on your schedule?
I would say everyone at this point, because we're trying to.
You just want to get out there?
We want to get out there and play. I mean, every team we've played against it's always a fun match. You can't overlook anybody. You have to respect everybody you play. You have to respect everyone. You can't fear nobody, but you have to respect every team you play, no matter who it is. Because if you don't and you look over them, then that's when things can go south.
But there's not that. I mean, there's not a team that's just style-wise. You're like, yeah, I like to play them because it's up and down. I know I'm going to get some shots off. It's going to be high scoring. There's not a team like that?
I'm not going to say any specific teams.
All right. I tried my best. What about the other way? Is there a team that just traditionally, other than Volcano, obviously, is there a team that traditionally is tough, right? Like, they're physical, or they get in your head, or they're tough, right? There's a team that's always kind of gives you problems. Is there a team like that on the other end of that spectrum?
I mean, there's always good teams. You're always going to run into...
Man, you're too good at this.
You're always going to run into good teams.
You're not going to give me anything, are you?
I mean, it's always a little different. I mean, you can say that district's probably a little different in the sense of you play them twice a year.
Right.
You always go into those games. The games are a little bit more important. Those games are have a little more meaning to them. But besides that, I mean...
Those district games, too, like, one thing that is fascinating to watch, those district games, especially in that district, like, the fans, like, those opposing fans, it's like, man, do they, like, what are they? Are they social media stalking you? Like, they know stuff about you,
right? No, yeah.
And they're talking smack, and, like, that part of it is fun in District 1, I think. What's your perspective on that as a player?
That's a great part of the district, man. When you're traveling to Cleveland, you're traveling to a Rancho, you go to Volcano. When we used to go to Atrisco, I don't know what it's like up north with Farmington and Piedra Vista yet, but it's just it's a great thing. Something you dream about, playing in front of big crowds, and you don't really like the stuff they say most of the time, but it's always a fun time playing against those.
So you'd rather have them there knowing that you're the guy and talking all kinds of smack versus empty bleachers any day, right?
Oh, 100%. You always want people there watching. It just brings more energy, more hype about the game.
Right. Well, like you said, hopefully we will be seeing a lot more Cibola this year, right?
Yes, sir, of course.
Good luck this season on a good, healthy, and successful season. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching, everyone. Good night.